Dr. T and the Women is a feature film from 2000. It's directed by Robert Altman and written by Anne Rapp, and it stars Richard Gere as Dr. T. We also have a brilliant cast including Helen Hunt, Farrah Fawcett, Laura Dern, Shelley Long, Tara Reid, Kate Hudson, and Liv Tyler. And it's actually because of Shelley Long that I became aware of this. I don't know if I ever would have bothered watching it had she not been in it. And honestly, I can't say I'd be missing out on much if I had decided not to watch this. All of the performances were really good, including Shelley Long, of course. She was in it not a lot, to be honest. Richard Gere did give a good performance, but his character wasn't necessarily the most likeable or indeed the most fascinating. I found his character to be kind of mundane, and that meant that the rest of it just wasn't that interesting because it all revolved around him and the way the various women in his life are affecting him, or at least making him feel different things. Richard Gere does play Dr. T. He's a gynecologist, and his wife at the start of the film has a mental health episode and has to go into a facility. His wife is played by Farrah Fawcett, and I really liked her as a character. I wish we got to spend more time with her, and unfortunately we don't. We end up following Dr. T, who is a significantly less interesting character, and his interactions with other women, including a romantic interest, and we have a brief encounter with his secretary, Shelley Long's character called Carol. We also have his daughter and his daughter's friend and a few other women along the way, and that's basically it. There's not much else to it. It's not interesting. I think it heavily relied on Dr. T being an interesting character, and unfortunately I didn't think he was. I wouldn't say I hated him. I just found him to be very mundane. Not a fascinating character at all. As I said, Richard Gere did give a good performance. Everybody did. I think everybody did a good job with the material. But the actual events are pretty dull. In fact, one of the most interesting things is when somebody comes into the clinic and trips. I won't say exactly what happens, but that was probably the most dramatic thing. And it's not very funny either. So it's not funny, it's not gripping or compelling. We have some interesting characters. As I said, Kate is probably the most fascinating. Dr. T, not so much. Would I recommend it? Yes, if you're interested in anybody who's in it, because the performances are pretty good with what they've got at the very least. But if you're looking for a good narrative or brilliant characters, then unfortunately Dr. T and the Women is not going to be that film. There are a few good moments, but in general it's just very messy. The narrative structure is not very satisfying. The pacing isn't very good at all. And Dr. T isn't a very likeable character, so it doesn't actually have that much to offer. It might appeal to some people more than it did to me. As I said, if any of the cast in this appeal to you, then I'd say give it a go. You might at least enjoy their performances. But in general, I can't say Dr. T and the Women is a very good film. I certainly didn't really enjoy it.